Hold on to your butts.
Hang on, we're in for some chops.
You keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
Oh, somebody please think of the children!
Welcome to the DeEducated podcast.
What's up, DeEducated? My name is Kris.
And I'm Mark, and I know Kung Fu.
Yeah, you sure do, Neo.
I don't know Kung Fu at all. Did you know that, I'm sure you've heard they're doing a Matrix 4 now?
What?
Yeah, they're coming with a new Matrix movie.
Everybody just wants to work with Keanu Reeves.
I know.
It's just because he's money.
Well, that's right. You basically put him in a movie. So now you've got Matrix 4 coming out, and you have Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Yeah.
Plus
there's another John Wick coming out.
Another John Wick. Keanu Reeves is awesome, but this whole trying to produce movies that needed sequels 10 years ago, 15 years ago.
Well, that's the thing. He's 50 years old now.
Yeah.
He's 51 or 52 years old now.
Yeah.
These should have been done a long time ago.
Absolutely.
But nobody jumped on the Keanu train.
Yeah. Well, especially the Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures.
Apparently, I heard a rumor they were trying to get that made for quite a while, and then there was just like people wouldn't do it, or people weren't interested, or I don't know. Because you got to understand, they did 3 of those, right? Or is this the third?
This will be the
They
third,
only did Bogus Journey and Excellent Adventure before?
Yeah.
Well, Bogus Journey tanked pretty hard.
Yeah, that's fair.
And let's be honest, I'm really not too sure. I think the nostalgia may be right for Face the Music.
Yeah.
But except for the nostalgia and the fact that the 80s are kind of hip at the moment.
Right, yeah.
They were a very dated... That was a very dated comedy routine.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. So I think it's just fascinating that this is where we've come to. So,
well, anyways, guys, welcome to episode 10, and you may notice this is looking a little bit different. We're doing something a little bit special. We are going to be doing a little bit of show and tell a little bit later with some actual firearms, and we just wanted to do a disclaimer really quickly, let everybody know that everything is above board. All the firearms are owned legally, and everything that we are doing with them is completely legal, following the laws within Canada. So we have no ammunition within the building anywhere. We're just going to say that up front. For now, they're just going to be nice little pieces that you guys can look at, and we'll talk about them a little bit later because these are our 2 favorite currently owned firearms that are currently legal to own and use. So we're going to talk about that a little bit later, but let's start out with what you did this week.
It was pretty much a standard week. I trained in Muay Thai, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, really working on this flow rolling concept in BJJ. I'm actually really looking forward to, from our last discussion, we were talking about aging and kind of changing the way we train. And I'm really kind of focusing on this now. And I'm kind of excited, with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to really start to move my training in that direction. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. And and then really the rest of my week was pretty straightforward. Like I said, I had a lot of events and stuff that I had to put on last week. This week, just living in the world of COVID-19 now, man. It's it seems to have taken over all aspects of everything we're doing, whether it's at the grocery store or putting on events, work, everything. And so it was a pretty straightforward week, though, I have to say. How about you?
Well, my week was pretty straightforward too, I suppose. We did. I re-injured my back because we always say my back. It's my hip.
Right.
It's the center of my hip.
Yeah.
But it's making things bad for my back, I guess. But things were actually doing really good. I started out the week really well.
Right.
Monday I rolled in jiu-jitsu. Everything was good. Sorry, that's not true. Monday I did my own workout. So I did a heavy bag workout and then some rehab stuff, working on posterior chain and that sort of stuff. Then on Tuesday I rolled in jiu-jitsu and everything was good. And I wasn't exactly rolling light. Last week I was rolling a little bit lighter, but even that, it got a little bit heavier and I seemed to be doing okay with it. Then Wednesday comes along. I've got a personal training client, and I'm able to throw a roundhouse kick to the body, like body level. And like it was a little bit like, I didn't like that all that much, but like I didn't re-injure myself. I didn't feel like I was going to hurt myself doing it. So I was feeling pretty good. Yeah. And then I taught the women's kickboxing class Wednesday night.
Right.
And like near the last portion of the workout, I'm telling everybody, like we're doing like calisthenics and it's the workout portion, right? Yeah. So I'm like, okay, 1 minute, 5-punch sprawl. Mm-hmm. And everybody looks at me like, huh? I was like, what part didn't you guys know? The 5-punch or the sprawl? Right? Yeah. I was like, the sprawl. Okay, well, I'll demonstrate a sprawl. And I'm doing it slow because I'm conscious, right? Yeah. So I'm like, okay, you put your hands down, you kick your feet back, you drop your hips down to the ground, and then you springboard your hips back up to standing. And I did it so like blocky and broken down that
actually was probably the bigger problem.
No, that was fine. Like I didn't hurt myself.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't hurt myself, but I felt like I was humping the ground in front of like a class of like 15 women. Nice. And I just felt like a goof. So I'm like, okay, no, I can't have them doing it exactly the way that I just demonstrated it. Yeah. Because if somebody walks in the building, they're gonna start while it looks like a man is walking around watching 15 women hump the ground.
It'd be like that video from back in the early 2000s. Remember there was that dance video with a guy and there's all the women doing the aerobics.
No.
Oh my God! I have to find this video.
Are you talking about physical?
No. It was a play off of physical.
Okay.
But it's like this video, and literally it's like people gyrating and humping the ground, and it was.
But it was an actual aerobics video.
But it was basically.
They show up on social media once.
All the time.
Yeah. Okay. It's fantastic. Well, that's exactly what I was trying to avoid.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, I have to demonstrate this at regular speed. So I like 5 punches and I drop for a sprawl, and I did it quickly, right? And it's about extend the hips and then reverse and springboard back up. Yeah. Well, when I stopped the forward motion with the hips going towards the ground, my hips just went, and it went ping. And thankfully that made me jump. So I jumped my feet back up. I was like, just like that. And I'm like, I hope no one blinked because I'm not doing that again. So they're like, oh yeah, okay. So I start the timer and they go and they're working. And I try walking around, and like maybe 20 seconds after walking around, I'm like, okay, I need to take a knee. I can't stand up anymore. And then I sit down. Like I did this maybe a week and a half ago in jiu-jitsu. Yeah. These teenagers in class are like, can you like stand on your knees and then jump right up to your feet? And I'm like, we'll prove it. Because they just didn't believe that I could do it. Yeah. I'm like, well, okay. So I do it. Yeah. I'm like, oh, that hurt my sacrum a little bit. Like, I'm not doing that again. Like, I hope you saw that. Yeah. But the pain went away in 45, 60 seconds maybe. Yeah. This one, like, I took a knee for like that full minute. Yeah. And like, I had to tell them like, okay, we're doing another round of this. Yeah. Because I'm not standing back up again. And I realized, shit, I hurt it. I didn't just hurt it. I re-injured it. Yeah. So yeah, I did. And I've been having problems ever since. I didn't re-injure it as bad as I did the first time.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm not like hobbling around and like
walking
like a gimp. I hear but I'm not able to do very much, that's for sure. And so I basically just set my recovery back by probably about a week and a half. So that sucks. And then so Thursday I didn't roll. Yeah. I just taught. Friday I actually went home early and tried to like lay in bed for a while and stretch and do all that sort of stuff. And then Saturday, I didn't come into class because, I was basically just sitting down trying to do things. So, that's my week.
Wow.
Re-injury and recovery.
So that's awesome. So we're definitely getting older because I'm looking forward to not training as hard. And you're at that point where it's...
the injury is taking way longer than it should to heal. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I hear you. You know, even with this... in Muay Thai, it was funny because we're doing a lot of like Lin Chan and the slow sparring, and even that it was like I'm having a lot of fun and I'm training and we're doing but even that sort of stuff, you're just like I caught a shin in slow sparring, and yesterday or today I bumped up against my car seat as I was getting in and out. And it was like,
my shin,
right? And like even a year ago, I would have been like, Didn't even feel
Right
it.
now, all the old Knockmoy are like, you
guys
wimp.
are absolute wimps.
Yeah.
But you know, speaking
Didn't you
of people,
beat your shins with sticks until you couldn't feel them?
well, you know, we don't have a lot of banana trees around here. And that's the thing is, I want to see somebody kick a friggin' go ahead, kick a spruce tree. Tell me how your shins feel.
Yeah, you know what? Bring, like,
Yeah.
I don't care if Boaka wants to come and kick a spruce tree.
Yeah,
Go for it.
yeah,
Because
exactly.
it will blister your shins up pretty good.
Yeah. So you know, I
Yeah.
think environmental conditions have a major factor to play there.
Yeah.
But so speaking of some environmental factors, let's kick into our world news.
Sure, let's do it.
So one of the stories that I wanted to bring up today was the I'm calling it Bears Are Bad, okay? So just remember, everybody, Bears are bad, okay? So a tragic story actually that happened here in Saskatchewan, northern Saskatchewan. A woman was actually killed by a black bear. Now, according to the story, she was out working on a water pump, and she was on the sat phone with her father. And he said that he heard a gurgling noise, and then the call had gone silent. About 7-8 minutes later, he gets a call back from the husband, and this bear had attacked the wife. He hit it with bear spray. It kind of made the bear just a little bit more annoyed. He went back to the house to get his firearm, comes back and kills the bear. By this point, the wife was dead. So, it was a mother of 2 children. They ran a camp up in the north. Just a tragic event. But, it's interesting because this is like the 3rd or 4th bear attack I've heard. Probably this year. I don't know if we're having more bear attacks than normal, but it just seems to be very much. I know people that I'm communicating with saying, they're seeing black bears. I know some guys down in parts of the province here. They've talked about seeing a lot more bear activity. So I don't know.
They say this is the first black bear attack or black bear death in Saskatchewan
since
in
the
like
80s.
80. Was it 80 years or since the 80s?
Oh, sorry, since the 80s. Yes, yeah, 84, 85.
1984?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so it's just it's a tragic story, and so folks, I think one of the things for me the biggest takeaway is if you're in an area where there's possible black bears, you should be armed.
But you can't be armed with this.
Right.
Perfect bear gun, by the way.
It is,
But you can't use it in Canada
can't use it
because Canada.
Because #Canada.
Yeah.
Speaking of Canada, you know what else is awesome about our country? Is that we're actually quite safe. And one of the things one of the topics here was I'm calling this one Saskatoon's police are extremely expensive rent-a-cops. And I don't mean to disparage the police in any way, shape, or form. What I'm getting at here is our police, apparently a report came out saying that our police, I believe it was in the 90 percentile. I may be getting that number wrong, but a very high percentage of our calls for service for our police are of a non-criminal nature. So essentially, they're escorting social service workers. They're doing, health checks, mental health checks, these sorts of things. Giving tickets.
Oh, they don't even have to do that anymore.
Yeah,
They've
exactly.
got all the cameras
They
and
got all the
technology
cameras.
for that.
That's right. So, it's one of these things where, we're talking about defunding the police, which I know I don't support, I know Kris doesn't support, but and on the flip side, allocating the resources correctly, I think, is important. I think that's one of the things that we're not doing, right? And this is as a prime example, like do we need a force of people, a group of people whose job it is to escort social services around? Then yes, if that's what we need, then let's do that. But we don't need them to necessarily be police officers, right? So what is the option? Or people who are giving out fines, we can look at some of the changes there. So I think it's one of those prevalent stories. I think people are pertinent stories that people really should have a read. So it will be on our website as well. So the link.
Fantastic. So next up, this one's interesting.
Yeah.
Health experts call for shift in COVID strategy, says current track is a fool's errand. So this actually was posted a month ago.
Yeah.
So
July-
this is
July
actually old news, but no mainstream media sources seem to have picked it up.
Yeah.
And it went largely unnoticed.
Sorry, I just want to point out this is from our talk radio.
Yeah, this
network.
is 660 News.
Yeah.
In, what is this, Calgary?
660 is, yeah, I believe so. Yeah, it's a city news group.
Yeah, it's City News Group. Yeah. So, but yeah, like literally a news radio station picked this up, and like nobody else.
Right.
So I'm just gonna read it here because this is kind of a big deal that went completely unnoticed. So it says a group of 18 prominent health experts in Canada, including the 2 previous chief public health officers of Canada, are calling on the federal and provincial governments to change their strategies during the COVID-19 pandemic. The group is calling for an end to attempts to eliminate the coronavirus, instead advocating for an approach where Canadians would learn to live with it. Quote, "It's a fool's errand," Dr. Neil Rao, an infectious disease specialist with the University of Toronto, says. Quote, "We're not going to win with that strategy," end quote. Rao argues business closures, mandatory masks, and complete border closures are doing more harm than good for employment and the well-being of our society, and adds that these things disproportionately affect low-income and racialized Canadians. Quote, "Poverty has huge health impacts on people. Health is wealth, wealth is health," end quote, Rao says. He says trying to stamp out COVID-19 will not work, and we need to accept that the coronavirus is with us at least until a vaccine is developed. And frankly, probably after that as well, right? So Rao joins other experts in calling on governments to further relax lockdown measures and not return to the phase 1 style restrictions that we saw in the spring, even if there is a second wave. Quote, "We strongly believe that population health and equity are important considerations that must be applied to future decisions regarding pandemic management," end quote. The open letter dated July 6th, like I said, this is over like a month, almost 2 months ago now.
That's right, yeah.
It reads, quote, "Canada must work to minimize the impact of COVID-19 by using measures that are practical, effective, and compatible with our values and sense of social justice," end quote. The letter adds, quote, "We need to focus on preventing deaths and serious illness by protecting the vulnerable while enabling society to function and thrive," end quote. The experts are also concerned about the development of children and are calling on the federal government to create a national strategy to reopen schools in the fall across the country. That didn't happen.
No.
They note Canada needs to, quote, "improve infection prevention and control in long-term care and congregate living settings," end quote, while also providing support for those who choose to isolate, quote, "when the disease is active," end quote. Our provincial government has not done well on that.
No.
We talked last week about how the majority of our infections have been communal living.
That's right.
Support should, now, I'm not saying that the people in those communal living settings don't have responsibility as well, but support should also be provided to people, quote, "who have been adversely affected by COVID-19 or the consequences of the public health measures," the letter adds. Quote, "Canadians have developed a fear of COVID-19, the experts write. Going forward, they have to be supported in understanding their true level of risk," and that seems important, their true level of risk, "and learning how to deal with this disease while getting on with their lives, back to work, back to school, and back to healthy lives and vibrant, active communities across this country," end quote. I cannot believe that this went unnoticed. We're not talking about just like some random smattering of, quote, experts with no names. We're talking about, first of all, and this is, again, poor reporting. I could look it up, I suppose. I haven't.
Yeah.
But I don't know who the names of the 2 previous chief public health officers for Canada were.
Right, yeah.
Like, you wouldn't even know who Theresa Tam is if not for
right,
COVID-19. Like, this is brand new, this person being in the spotlight, right?
Just like Fauci, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we're talking about the 2 previous most prominent doctors in Canada.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And 16 other prominent health experts, such as an infectious disease specialist with the University of Toronto.
Right.
Like, these aren't nobodies.
Right. But, and what's funny about this, and this is the thing, is that these are nobodies, and yet people will berate folks on the internet and all over social media and put this peer pressure on them. Like, if you don't wear a mask, if you think our kids should be going back to school, then you're a dummy and you're not following the experts.
No, you're not that you're a dummy. You're a murderer.
You're a murderer.
Just listen to the experts. Because Steve on the internet is suddenly an expert. Steve on the internet is just listening to the experts.
Well, that's exactly it. And that's entirely it, is that it's this argument of which experts are we supposed to listen to? I'm going to lean towards the people who do this for a living, who have done this for 30 to 40 years, the places that actually have not a political agenda and not a personal agenda, but an agenda for public health. And that's what these folks have. This is the thing, is that there's now, I cannot believe, and of course I can believe it because it's the society we're living in, but we are now living in a society where something like wearing a mask has been politicized, where how you deal with the pandemic has been politicized, and you're now a lefty or a right winger dependent upon your
what
take on like how you deal with this. And that's insane. That's absolutely
what's really
crazy.
interesting for me is, so Neil Rao is obviously the spokesperson for this group, University of Toronto, infectious disease expert, and he specifically says business closures, mandatory masks, and complete border closures are doing more harm than good.
Of course.
Not only for employment, but for the well-being of our society.
Yeah.
And this goes back to what we've been saying a long time ago, that as time is going on, Sweden is more and more justified in how they've reacted to the pandemic. Because since the beginning, they have said that health is a multifaceted approach. And COVID-19 and the concerns around its virility and its morbidity are only one piece of the puzzle.
That's right.
And we have completely ignored every other aspect of health. Mm-hmm. And it is worse. And frankly, honestly, I had to put this in here, even though it's old news at this point. Yeah. Not just because it got ignored, but this is kind of vindicating, to be perfectly honest with you. Like the next person who comes to me and tries to shame me by saying, "Oh, you think you're smarter than the experts?" Yeah. I'm literally listening to the experts. And at this point, I need to say, I'm not the guy who's going out there licking everybody's face and speaking moistly. Yeah. I'm doing what we should be doing. Yeah. When I'm in public spaces, I'm keeping 6 feet away from people. I'm not spitting when I talk. That's right. I'm not even breathing through my mouth in public spaces.
That's right. Exactly.
I'm breathing
consciously
through my nose.
breathing through your nose.
Yeah. I am cognizant of what is going on in society, and I am taking reasonable precautions against the virus.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I think we've completely lost the plot on this, and not to get overly conspiratorial here, but there are people out there who really do like the fact that they can control others, they can control their actions, and they don't really care about your actual health or anybody's health, right?
And frankly, I question the motives of a lot of people, not everybody, but I question the motives of a lot of the people who are perpetuating this. I mean, not the people who are just trying to live their lives and are a little bit fearful and don't quite know what's going on. I'm talking about the people who are actively out there canceling other people and screaming at the top of their lungs, stay home, because I'm so virtuous and I stay home to save lives because I'm the virtuous person. Right. I'm talking about those people. Yeah. I'm becoming less and less patient with that, because as time is going on, more and more evidence is showing that they are not on the right side.
That's right. This. That's right. And we will see it. Hear me now, quote me later. We will see that ultimately that these experts were the right ones. So speaking of
the world ending,
World War III update: China fires missiles in South China Sea in a warning to the U.S. after plane enters the no-fly zone. So we've been covering this for a while now.
I think that's funny. You know how many hundreds of thousands of dollars they probably spent firing those missiles?
Right.
That's a pretty expensive warning. just friggin' tweet Trump.
Yeah,
he's on Twitter.
It's way cheaper. But
or TikTok him.
TikTok him, yeah, exactly. So they can't because it's banned in the U.S. But anyway.
Trump's on it. You know he's on it.
But yeah, so basically what's happened here was the United States flew into, and what's funny is they say after the plane enters a no-fly zone. To be clear, it is a no-fly zone according to the Chinese. Yeah. Now, according to to international maritime law, it is not a no-fly zone. So the problem is that the Chinese are currently claiming a massive part of the South China Sea as their own independent territory that they should have full control over. So the United States flies ships and brings planes into this area and to basically for freedom of navigation movements. So this is just another ratchet up on the escalation that's happening there. So China decided to huck a couple missiles near Taiwan because, 2020 is a dumpster fire, so we may as well just kick it all off.
Given the reason that you just gave for why they're doing this, do you think it's a coincidence that the missiles are phallic shaped? Like these guys are literally just trying to measure dinks with each other.
It's dick sword, 100%.
Yeah.
So this here is I'm not going to open on my device, but that's okay. I know the story generally. So in a nutshell,
finance.yahoo.com. Does it want to open?
It won't open on my device. I don't know. I'm clicking it and it's just erroring out on me.
Interesting.
Anyway, so basically, so for those of you who, I love it because, thinking that secret societies exist and that groups of millionaires sitting together talking to each other is actually a conspiracy theory, even though it's clearly not. There's like legitimate clubs. So this is basically a club of millionaires. Sorry, what was the name of it again?
A club of multimillionaires in the U.S.
Yeah.
The Tiger 21.
Tiger 21, yeah. So the Tiger 21 club is basically, you have to be a multimillionaire to be able to join this club, and they do various investing together, but they also meet regularly and have various conversations about, industry and these sorts of things. Anyway, this club is now switching out from basically, stock market investments and this sort of thing into cash
holdings,
to cash holdings. And I can't stress this enough.
It's nearly 20% of their assets.
Assets now, yeah.
Like 20% in cash. Like literally, like they're putting it under their Gucci mattresses.
Exactly. Well, what's really funny is that we're seeing this all over the place, and yet, people are like, well, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with the economy. I'm like, when rich people are
pulling out of the economy,
it's time to freaking pay attention. So I'm just telling people now, it's something that needs to be watched.
Are we becoming like
conspirators?
An end is nigh podcast?
We might be. But what's funny,
that doesn't mean that we're wrong.
That's just it, right?
It just means the world is ending, and we're lucky enough to have started a podcast a couple of months before
it. Exactly. And you know what the best part of it is that you guys can keep listening to the podcast, and we'll keep updating you on all the crazy stuff.
Exactly.
So this next one here is, and I love my title. So it means
your title is great. The story is a little bit not great. Yeah.
So Axe isn't just a body spray for douchebags. And
it's also a door destroying tool for douchebags.
So I'll kind of set it up. Are we going to play the video, at least the audio portion of it?
We'll kind of like splice it in so you guys can see the videos for yourselves, so you're not just listening to us talk about it.
Sounds good. So basically, the RCMP are reviewing an incident that happened. A wellness check was called in to a person, and
a 33-year-old First Nations man. Yeah.
Thank you, 33-year-old First Nations man, and the RCMP went along with the nurses to check on the guy. He looks through the window and he sees that the guy is bleeding, and he starts trying to smash in the window.
They say it was a wellness check, but it was a wellness check because there was a report that he became physically injured.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know whether he fell or
what it was. And so basically, this cop tries to break his way into the house. Initially, he starts trying to smash out a window, and he's screaming at the guy to open the door. He goes, I'm gonna go get a sledgehammer and smash this door, and if you don't open it up, and he takes off. And then you'll see, like a minute later, he comes walking up with an axe, and you can hear the people talking on the video of like is this guy?
He's actually going to do this.
He's actually going to do this.
Yeah.
And I do not blame a First Nations man who is in this scenario to not open the door, not for 2 seconds.
Here's the thing. on one hand, it's a little ridiculous. On the other hand, I've never had to live in fear of the police.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, folks. This is what happens when we change formats for a day. Things don't work properly. So we're back. So we were talking about this police officer, this RCMP officer breaking into the house. He had an axe. He went and got an axe, told them he was going to go get an axe. And he actually, like you see in the video, he smashed on their window with his fist.
Was it a fist, or I thought it maybe was like some sort of like a Kubaton or some sort of a window
I gotta believe
breaker.
it would have broken.
Yeah,
it kind of looked like he was just hitting it with a gloved fist. But whether it was a gloved fist or whether he had a weapon, like I mean, you're there to help the person.
Right.
They're afraid of you.
Clearly,
at this point, you have a responsibility to allay their fears.
Yeah.
And I don't think this is indicative of policing.
No.
I think this is indicative of that police officer who seems like a moron. The whole reason that people are talking about defunding the police is because of people like this who have zero understanding of what people are going through, zero patience for what people are going through, and are just psychologically I'm not going to say ill-equipped, psychologically incompetent.
Yeah.
When it comes to being able, like, if you need to do a high-risk takedown, I'm sure this guy is perfectly great as a police officer. But if you need to do community policing, this is not the guy to send.
Right. So I think that maybe, this is sort of indicative of the code of policing now, because we are bringing in these sorts of folks into policing rather than the community approach.
But I suspect this guy's probably still a minority in police
right.
officers, right?
Yeah, I guess, yeah. I would think that we need to ensure that whatever the method is that they're picking, that they're using to choose these folks, that they're, not focusing on the overly aggressive person. And maybe this is why...
Now, and frankly... Sorry, I cut you off.
No, it's all good. But maybe this is what we're not seeing as, two white guys. That maybe this is what we don't see, is that maybe they're more aggressive. The people that they're bringing into the police forces are more aggressive. Like we just don't are aggressive towards, people of color and that sort of thing. So maybe we just don't experience that in the same way,
Well, we also don't know the backstory here. Like,
right.
We have no idea. Like, for all we know, this is the 5th time that this police officer's been to this house.
That's true too.
For all we know, there's been all kinds of problems before. Yeah. For all we know, that police officer literally came to this call fresh off of a call where a baby was killed.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, who knows?
Yeah, we don't know.
They go through a lot of crap that we don't know about.
Yeah. No,
I mean, judging the merits of the video, seems like the wrong guy to send to that call.
Agreed. But in communities like that, that's all they've got. You've got one friggin' guy.
Yeah, there's that too, right?
But no, let's defund the police.
That's the stupidest answer, period.
That's exactly it, is that we need better policing. We need more resources into policing. Yeah. We need to understand that policing is more than a gun, a body armor, and a car, right? Like, it's much more integrated than that.
For sure, yeah.
It needs to be.
And in our city, at least, our mayor seems to understand that. I'm not the biggest fan of our mayor currently, but I'll give him props on the policing thing. He's just recently increased funding for the police in our city, and a major portion of that funding is going towards that type of integration that we're talking about. And I think that's a good thing.
That's the answer. Yeah, I genuinely think it is. So,
but my initial reaction is maybe a little bit too harsh, because just what you see on the video without any context, which we don't have.
That's right.
The cop looks like an absolute douche. You're there to help somebody, even if he won't let you help him. The answer is not to start smashing on his window and go and get an axe.
Right.
I will help you whether you want it or not.
Yeah.
Here's the reality, man. You can refuse medical assistance.
Yeah. Absolutely, you can.
And if you're refusing medical assistance, then you're refusing medical assistance. Okay, It's time for us to go.
Yeah.
On the flip side of that coin, if you want help, you have to let help come.
That's
and
right.
You can hear in the video, they're basically saying, the nurses are here. And he's like, well, they can come in, but you can't.
Yeah.
Well, no, like you need to understand they're part and parcel.
Right.
The police's job is there to make sure that the nurses stay safe.
That's right.
They can't do that from outside.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
There needs to be a little bit more understanding on both sides, quite honestly.
Right. But I think this leads to that what I'd said earlier about, maybe this is where we redefine what policing is and what social assistance needs, right?
I'm not around. I'm not doing nothing. I'm not doing anything.
Open the door now!
Should I open the door?
The clinic is here to check on you. Open the door. I'm coming back with a sledgehammer.
I'll open the door when the clinic comes here. I'm recording it. I'm recording it.
I'm gonna open the door. Okay, they're gonna break
Yeah.
it open.
Open it then.
You think I was kidding?
What's up?
The clinic is here to check on you.
Yeah, I know. I was waiting for the clinic. I'd open the door for the clinic, not for you. And trying to punch my window? Trying to punch a window down?
Excuse me.
So, speaking of really shitty situations, let's make flying even worse. So,
This is why I fly Scare Canada.
WestJet, wow, who knows how long Scare Canada is going to last.
Yeah.
WestJet institutes a zero-tolerance mask policy. Violators face 12-month travel ban. So essentially now...
You can fly once with WestJet without a mask.
Without a mask.
And then you just have to fly Air Canada.
Well, and what's funny is that not only that, that masks are mandatory. I want to read the one section here. So, according to the airline, non-compliant passengers may be prevented from boarding aircrafts. For those who remove their mask during a flight, the violation could result in the return of the aircraft to the gate and the offending passenger be removed.
At which point they will arrest you.
Oh, yes.
Because it's already illegal to cause a disturbance on an airplane.
That's right. A 1-year ban from travel with WestJet could also be imposed. So, you not only have to wear the mask on the plane, if you remove the mask while you're on the plane, they will consider that a full-blown disturbance, and they will turn the aircraft around. So if you're in mid-flight, they could actually call in for an emergency for you taking your mask off.
Yes.
Like, that is just off the frickin' rails, crazy now.
Are we surprised that airlines are overreacting?
No. Well, and it is airlines, right? So now...
But also, at the same time, airlines are just doing everything that they can just to get back in the air and get people in the seats.
That's true. Well, and it's funny because you can't take your mask off, so I guess that means no water. Like, what about water? Like, I can't have a glass of water. I can't sip a water. I can't do this.
How am I going to smoke in the lavatory?
Right, yeah, exactly. And guess what? Now I can't eat my tiny 14 grams of pretzels and tiny half glass of Coke.
Well, so. you can't drink anything anyways because they've all suspended their in-flight service.
Oh yeah, right. But I can't even bring something with me to drink.
No, apparently
not. That's crazy, right?
It's only 6.5 hours from coast to coast by plane.
Yeah, I won't need anything to drink.
You'll be fine.
I'm good to go.
At least it won't be as long a line up to the bathroom.
It's definitely going to bring a new term to the Mile High Club. We'll be sneaking off into the bathroom to have a sip of water. Right?
Yeah, taking your mask off at 10,000 feet.
Exactly.
All right, so our next piece here. Now, I'm gonna caveat this, okay? I just learned of this today. I have not had the time to properly research this. I've been on the CDC website. I've browsed it very briefly, and it seems as though what is being reported is reasonably accurate.
Yeah.
Let's also add this to the fact that I was initially alerted to this through a link on Facebook.
That's right.
And Facebook's fact Nazis have not
kicked it off yet.
Yeah. So, but so take that for what it is, guys. Like this is a little bit premature. Maybe I'll follow up a little bit more on it next week when I have some more time. But it appears as though the CDC has released some more detailed information about their COVID-19 death statistics for the United States. And it appears as though they are listing only 6% of deaths that are listed as COVID-19 deaths are traced to COVID-19 alone. Meaning only 6% of COVID-19 deaths currently listed in the U.S., of which there's 180,000 now.
Yeah.
Out of 180,000 some odd deaths in the U.S. that are listed as COVID-19, only 6% of them, you want to do the math on that?
Yeah, I can find that out.
We can ask Google. Only 6% of them are from COVID-19 alone. The other 94% of COVID deaths have an average of 2.6 comorbidities. Now, what that means is...
So 6% of 180,000 is 10,800.
So what that means is only 10,000 deaths in the United States.
No, that's 10,000. Yeah, no, that's not of deaths. That's of all cases. It's only 180,000. They haven't had 180,000 deaths.
No. Yeah.
Oh, yes, they have.
Yeah,
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
There are millions.
So
of cases.
sorry. Yeah, 10,800.
Yeah. So just under 11,000 deaths in the U.S. are from COVID-19, definitively.
Yes.
Meaning it's the only cause of death. The comorbidity thing, 2.6 average, means that there are between 2 or 3 comorbidities, meaning other illnesses that can kill you, for 94% of what are listed as COVID-19 deaths. The top 3 comorbidities listed are respiratory illness, cardiovascular illness, and neoplasm, which, by the way, means cancer. So 94% of what is being listed as a COVID-19 death in the United States could be existing respiratory disease, existing cardiovascular disease, or cancer, or some combination thereof. And the person just happened to die just happened to test positive for COVID-19 at the time of their death. Mm-hmm. And here's the problem. If this is even remotely true, 6% is huge.
Yeah.
Let's be generous and say that of the other 94%, let's say that half of them are actually COVID-19 deaths.
That still drops your death rates
to a fraction of a percentage.
Yeah, exactly.
And it just makes what we were talking about earlier with these experts. Yeah. It gives it that much more credence to what they're saying.
Absolutely.
Again, I haven't been able to crunch the numbers to confirm this, but what the article that I was looking at was saying was that you drop it to 6%, and that brings the death rate in line with the flu.
Right. Yeah.
Now, I don't believe that of the other 94%, I had emphysema. Mm-hmm. Emphysema made me more susceptible to dying of COVID-19.
Right.
I understand, there's comorbidities.
Yeah.
It could have killed you. Emphysema could have killed you. Could have been the combination of the two. If COVID-19 didn't exist, you might still be alive.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that you died of COVID-19.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's the problem, is that this has been listed by our governments as 100% black and white.
That's right, exactly.
And because it's being politicized, it's completely black and white.
But
there's a whole gray area in this world that everybody's ignoring.
And that's the thing, is that you always have these people who are like, I am a science-minded individual. I understand science. I can't believe how stupid people are. I can't believe that people can't understand basic science and basic math.
There's no such thing as basic science. First of all, if you say I understand basic science, you're just telling me you don't understand anything.
Right. And so these guys will say this sort of stuff, and these these numbers and how comorbidity works, and that this isn't a black and white. No other diseases do we do this with, right? Like most of the time when you see a death certificate, you see it's like cardiac arrest brought on by this, right? Yeah. You actually see these sorts of things. Right. It's usually when we mark these. Whether it's deaths, any of these things, there's more factors that go into it. But for some reason with COVID, it's like,
COVID.
It was COVID.
Yeah.
They're in the UK. They're actually marking cases of COVID deaths. If you get hit by a bus 2 months after you've been diagnosed with COVID, they're counting that as a COVID death.
Because they're counting anything that is even remotely related to COVID. And by the way, that means. So I'm going to just tell you a bit of an anecdotal story. I was talking to a friend the other day. His uncle just died of lung cancer.
Right.
And his uncle was in hospital for several months at the end of his life, dealing with lung cancer that had metastasized to multiple other parts of his body. Like he was there so that he could be comfortable to die.
Right.
Okay. They tested him, or they attempted to test him for COVID-19 2 weeks before he died.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
The family refused
Yeah.
to allow him to be COVID-19 tested.
Yeah.
And it seems very likely that if he had been tested for COVID-19 and it had come back that he had antibodies or had the virus, that he would have been listed as a COVID-19 death.
Yeah.
The guy had stage 4 lung cancer that had metastasized to multiple other organs in his body.
Yeah.
How has he died of COVID-19?
Right, exactly.
He hasn't. Why are you wasting money and resources testing a man with stage 4 lung cancer for COVID-19? Who cares?
Right. Well, they care because they shut down the entire economy and blew up the world's economy, and that's basically it.
Yeah.
So speaking of assholes in
boxing for us.
Yeah, and then speaking of assholes in politics.
Yes. Okay. So Bill Blair ignored Correction Services Canada, ignoring panels' requests for information on solitary confinement charter violations. So you guys may remember a few years ago, there was I'm fuzzy on the details, but there was an informant who, he was a criminal bastard himself.
Right. Yeah.
But he had informed on a criminal organization, I can't remember which one, and he was serving time. I think he got arrested while he was in Witsec. I think that's the way it went. Right. This is a couple of years ago now, and I'm trying to remember this off the cuff. But I think he broke the law when he was in Witsec and went to jail. And then he obviously was identified. He was in Witsec, so he was in solitary confinement.
Right.
And he got a journalist to pay attention to him, and he complained about the fact that he was in solitary confinement for 22 hours a day, and that violated his charter rights.
Right, yeah.
And the Supreme Court of BC ended up ordering the federal government to correct these charter rights violations within a 12-month period.
Right, yeah.
And so at the time, the Minister of Public Safety and was he Minister of Corrections? He must have been. Yeah, it was Ralph Goodale anyway. Yeah. He set up a 7-person panel along with a very famous criminologist by the name of, what the heck was his name? Doob is his last name?
So Doob, yeah.
Sorry, I'm just going to have to look it up now. This is a Maclean's article too, so you got to know if Maclean's is Anthony Doob. If Maclean's is ragging on the federal government, they done messed up, right?
Yeah.
So Anthony Doob, he's a emeritus professor of criminology at the University of Toronto, and he was supposed to head this panel that was supposed to monitor what Corrections Canada was doing over that 12-month period.
Yeah.
Well, Ralph Goodale got replaced. There was that whole C-71 debacle that he didn't, apparently, and a bunch of other things he didn't want to be associated with anymore. Plus, he ended up losing his seat in the next election. But Bill Blair took over.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, Anthony Doob couldn't get any information from Correction Services Canada. So they just wouldn't release any information to him, despite the fact that he was a ministry-appointed head of a ministry-appointed panel that needed this information to do his job. Well, he went to Bill Blair, and he complained about this, and he basically said, hey, you're the minister now. Can you make these guys, do their jobs?
Right.
And Bill Blair ignored it.
Right.
So Anthony Doob wrote his report,
yeah.
and his report essentially said, we have nothing to report. We have nothing to report because we couldn't get any information from Correction Services Canada. Yeah. Without any information, we can't do our job. The panel is defunct. And then Bill Blair shut the panel down.
Yeah.
So the reason that I'm mentioning this is because this, like, we're starting to find out more and more things about the absolute abject level of corruption that is going on here. Yeah. First, and this is two things in the span of a week and a half here. First of all, we find out about the court case finally settles on the G20 summit.
Right. Yeah.
And the only reason Bill Blair isn't culpable for that is because he became a minister shortly after.
That's right. Yeah.
Now we've got charter violation, like 5 charter lawsuits for Bill C-71, which Bill Blair is heading up. Yeah. There was there's now this segregation unit thing with Anthony Dube, and there was another one. Oh yeah, the cover up on the Nova Scotia shooting that led to the Ordering Council.
That's right.
And then after months of cover-up, after people finally scream about wanting information,
the families of the victims had to
protest. Like, well, we're just going to do a 3-person internal panel.
Yeah.
And then they scream about that, like, that's not good enough. Yeah. Okay, well, fine, we'll do a public panel.
Right.
But, like, man, how many... they say we are the sum of our actions.
Yeah.
I've said this before. We are the sum of our actions.
That's right.
How many actions do you have to have lined up before you can say, how many corrupt actions until you can say that you're corrupt?
Well, that's just it, right? Like, and that goes for Bill Blair, and that goes for this entire administration, right? Like, look at all of the scandals. Look at them. How can you not say that they're not corrupt?
And you know what? Every government has a scandal. Yeah. Every government has a scandal.
But 7 in a row?
7 in a row. Like
over...
And you've only been in power for 5 years.
Yeah. Literally, it's absolutely insane.
At least most of this, by the way, is happening during their first term.
Yeah.
It's just coming out during their second term.
Exactly, yeah.
Like, most other governments, before they start to overreach and eventually become corrupt, first of all, they only usually become corrupt if we leave them in power for too long.
Yeah, exactly.
But they usually start to overreach at the end of their second term.
Yeah.
Like, this guy's like right off the bat, this government's been doing this crap.
Absolutely they have. It's brutal.
Anyway, that's kind of it for the news, hey?
That's it. That's all we've got for news this week. You know,
get into the main topic.
We're going to start talking about what our favorite gats are. That's right. We're going to call them gats.
Our favorite gats.
We're not going to call them gats.
We need a Tommy gun.
Yeah.
So we will mention once again, these firearms are legally owned. Everything we're doing with them on video and off video, RCMP, is completely legal. We follow all the rules and all the laws, okay? There is no ammunition anywhere in the building. You had a magazine.
I do have a magazine.
Hold open.
I have an empty.
You want to just show the camera that there's no ammunition in the magazine and that we have no ammunition in the vicinity? We'll just wait till Mark gets back here with his trusty magazine. Oh, and while we're at it, you should probably show that there's a rivet in it. So that, we're just being overly cautious here, folks.
So you can see it's been pinned.
This is the first time that we've been
this is
doing something like this. So.
This is the magazine for my rifle, and this is primarily used for the hold open. So if it does close on us, we'll have to put that in.
And we'll explain when he's talking about the gun, how the hold open and all that sort of stuff. So we basically today we brought in our 2 most favorite, currently legal to own and use firearms. I've got an AR-15. I may or may not have a Stag 10. But the reason I didn't bring those out of the safe is because they're not currently legal to own or use. They'd be legal to show off on video here, but I just left them in the safe because we're focusing on our favorite guns that we can currently own and use. Okay?
That's right.
You want to go first?
Sure. Okay, so my favorite gun, which has actually been featured on one of our other videos for a moment or two, is my WK-180C, and it is made by Wolverine Supplies and supplied by Kodiak Defense. And it's this one is particularly chambered at a 5.56 NATO, And as you can see, the chamber is open. We've got nothing in the magazine. In particular, the reason this is my favorite rifle is number one, is that it looks cool. So that's my number one. No, honestly, what I love about the platform is that it's a very rugged platform. It is actually designed and built to be a bush gun. I know a lot of people in the shooter community are kind of surprised by that, but that's what this gun is really meant for. You should be taking it out with you for, specifically boar hunting or as predator defense. That's really what this weapon is.
People complain that it's got the open ports and there's the mud and dirt and blah blah blah.
Yeah,
people have been walking around with bolt actions forever.
Like that. And what's awesome with this is that literally if you do get any dirt in it, you literally just shake it out. The way the design is, everything just kind of falls right out of it. Now, a couple of features that I love. I'm going to go over a few things that I absolutely love about it, and then a few things that I wish were different. So, number one, obviously, because it is off of the AR, the AR hand grip on it, right, and the Magpul stock on it are. I love these. Both of these, they fit my hand really well, which is actually for a guy with big hands like me is a really nice feature. The other thing I do like, and actually this one is more of a medium like and hate, is the mag release. I like the push button mag release on it. The problem is that the mag release on here is not exactly holding, doesn't necessarily hold open correctly all the time.
Hold open lip doesn't always. Yeah, that was dumb.
Yeah. Doesn't always like to hold properly, and then see now
you won't get it.
I won't get it, right?
So pull it back in. I'll do it manually.
Okay, there we go. Got it.
Don't just let it go, but just slowly.
No.
Oh, there we go.
No. Can you take your phone on?
I can't because then you'll.
Yeah.
There we go.
So
the finger is a magazine.
Yeah, that's right. So essentially, the mag release on it is a little flaky, and this is not only my complaint. I've seen this all over the place where it just doesn't want to lock, and that can be due to a variety of different reasons. The magazine itself, there's a little bit of wear on the gun. Now, I have put through, as of today, this very moment, I have put exactly 2,023 rounds through this gun, and I've had only one misfeed, and that was the magazine just hadn't seated correctly, and that was actually my mistake. And then I had one soft strike, but that was because I used to have a 3D printed cover in here, which you'll see a lot of people will do. They'll actually have a 3D printed brass deflector. Mine actually came loose and fell inside my trigger, and that was the reason that I ended up having. I popped it open, and again, the design on this is nice because there's just a trigger on the back. You pop it open, and it breaks. And essentially, that had fallen inside, and that caused a light strike. I opened it up, took it out, and the gun was firing again. Feature I loathe and despise is this charging handle. You can see it's literally just a basic screw type. I know that this is how it has to be with the way it's designed. These things, you can go on the interwebs and just see so many of these breaking off. Now, a lot of times that's because people are riding the charging handle, so I'm very vigilant in when I rack it to let it fly on its own, and that sure helps. But it comes loose all the time. I bet you in a shooting session, I'm probably tightening it at least a dozen times. And so that's my number one biggest complaint with this rifle. It does go ambi, which is nice. And I used to have it actually on this side. I literally just changed it. It used to sit here. I literally just changed it over today because I'm finding that it's getting caught, and that's really causing it to loosen. But even when I switched it over today, I still had to tighten it a few times. So it's definitely a feature that needs some improvement. obviously it's a basic AR trigger, but for the price, and we'll kind of talk about that now. For the price of this rifle, this gun was supposed to have been under $1,000 when they first came out. Now, I think all told so far with taxes, I think it was around about $1,200 I paid for this. So, part of our discussion earlier was around why that's the case. And obviously they had to change out the barrel. It was supposed to be a 223 Wild. This is a 5.56 NATO, and I actually contacted the company and they said the main reason that they had to do that is they were having ammo feed issues and things where the tolerances were just too tight for it to be usable with a variety of different ammo types. So, I've run literally every type of 5.56 and 223 that that's available essentially through this gun so far, and I haven't had any issues on that front. So I'm sure they improved. I'm sure that was a good improvement, but the fact that happened initially, to me says that there was a little of lack of R&D for this firearm. A couple of things that I've added on, obviously, is the foregrip. It doesn't come with one. I love adding this foregrip. This is a 20-inch barrel on this gun, so and it's not as light as it actually looks. It's quite a heavier type of rifle, AR, and so this foregrip just really helps to keep things on target. So I've added that. I had the 3D printed brass deflector. That's gone. And a couple of things I am going to be adding on is I want to do a flashlight or possibly a laser sight on it as well. Just
Are you
for
going
fun.
to do the trigger in that eventually?
I am too. Yeah, the trigger. That actually is another complaint I have with this trigger. It's got 850 miles of pull on the damn thing before it goes or before it breaks.
I've heard that a lot about the WK. Is apparently the MCR trigger is even worse.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine it being worse because it's like you're as you're sitting on it, you're like, okay, anytime now. Yeah, okay, come on, and yeah.
If we're talking about saying that like the trigger is terrible, we should probably mention at this point that like we're not Gucci gun guys.
No, God, no.
I mean, you got like cheap ass scope on there. You got this from Wish, didn't you?
No, that is from Amazon.
Is that? Oh, wow. Yeah. So different payment processor, same shipper.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, you're still like a lot of people would have replaced that trigger.
Oh yeah,
right off the bat.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of people probably would have put a different barrel on, like
yeah,
all that good fun crap. Like you have no plans to change the barrel.
No.
You did have a red dot on
I did,
there,
yeah.
And you're going to put a Bushnell scope on it right away.
Yeah.
This is just an intermediate.
This was for me to shoot at paper today and to futz around.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, you haven't put any extra anything on it.
Yeah.
And neither of us are really those types of people. We
No.
don't spend a lot of money on these.
No, not at all.
If it's functional, great. But even that, like, I'm not spending $350 on a trigger. Like,
no,
the 1022.
My wife would leave me.
Well, exactly. And that's maybe part of it. Like we have very limited firearm budgets.
That's right, exactly.
The two of us.
Yeah.
But by the same token, we've been shooting long enough with such crap that like my AR-15, it came with a stock mil-spec trigger on it.
Yeah.
And I shot it for a while with just a stock mil-spec trigger.
Yeah.
And then I went out and I bought a Hyperfire trigger for it.
Right. Yeah.
But did I buy the $350 Hyperfire? No, I bought the $150 Hyperfire.
That's right.
Because it kicked the crap out of the other one that I was already used to. And I'm totally fine with that trigger.
Yeah.
I used a stock trigger in my 1022 forever.
Yeah.
And now I upgraded it to a Ruger BX trigger.
Right.
Which you get Gucci guys.
Yeah.
And they're like Ruger BX, like just no better than the Ruger trigger. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is. Right.
And it's good enough for me.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm offhand with that new rifle.
Yeah.
I'm hitting the steel out at 200 anytime I want to.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't have it on bipod or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like, we just don't need that crap.
Yeah.
There's upgrades and then there's needless upgrades.
Well, and like I say, a lot of it is for that, like you say, the Gucci or, as I lovingly call them, the tactards, right? Some of this stuff is just not necessary. So with this gun for its purpose, and again, this is what I I reiterate with this gun because I've had this conversation now 5 or 6 times. This is a bush gun. I hate to break it to everybody. That's what this is. There's a lot of folks out in the community I know who are like, "Oh man, it's $1,000 gun. I wouldn't, take it out in the bush." And this gun is meant to get nicks, dings, and go out into the woods with. That's what it's for. And for that purpose, I think it's a fantastic gun.
And it's still non-restricted in Canada, which goes pretty far.
Exactly.
In the plus category.
Yeah. And so as a non-restricted, AR type platform, it's a hell of a lot of fun to shoot. Guys, this $100 Chinesium scope I threw on here. We put it on paper, and by the end of it was an hour, if we were even out for that long. Not even. And in an hour, this thing was putting rounds on top of each other. So, I really can't complain too much about it for what I got. Obviously, the price point has gone up on this, and I know that was a big point of contention for a while for some people with this firearm. But man,
if you want a semi-automatic AR platform that is still legal and doesn't cost, $2,500 or more,
yeah. This is it.
Then that's it.
That's it. It's
that or the MCR.
The MCR, yeah. The MCR is probably...
Which is very close to the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. I haven't had any actual shooting experience with it, so I can't speak too much to it.
With the MCR.
The MCR, but I can tell you that this is an awesome platform. So go out there, buy yourselves an MCR, buy yourselves a WK180C.
I think I saw 2 companies in the last couple of days. Was it Bullseye? It might have been Bullseye and SFRC, I think. Both just got orders of MCRs or WKs.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And they're going to go they're probably already out by the time this gets out to the people.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
This is,
It's really the only
it really is.
budget semi-automatic.
That's right.
5.56 option in Canada right now.
In Canada, that's, yeah. And who knows how long that's going to be. Unfortunately, when it was funny, and I mean that
you just reminded me that we completely ignored that the CPC race is over.
Oh yes, you're right.
Didn't even touch it.
That's right.
We've been touching it all the way through, and then finally they elect a leader, and we just didn't even touch it for news.
Well, maybe you can put that in your shout out.
I'm just going to do it right now.
Do it.
Well, Aaron O'Toole is the new leader of the party. I'm not going to say who I voted for.
Yeah.
But it wasn't Aaron O'Toole.
Yeah.
And you can probably guess it wasn't Leslie Lewis or Derek Sloan either. Actually, I put Aaron O'Toole number 2 on my ballot.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Well, we're,
Yes, that's right. I'm a libtard. I voted for Peter MacKay.
Well, it's so funny because it's like, I can't believe I said this actually last night to my wife. I said, I cannot believe with how liberal I am that I'm sitting here looking at the Conservative Party going, yeah, that sounds about right.
I know, right?
That's sick. But anyway, so love it. So far, favorite gun that I own that is non-restricted, that's still perfectly legal.
Well, you still don't have a restricted.
I don't have anything that's restricted yet.
You just dodged all the bullets.
Yeah, well, because literally, yeah. Well, because I actually very much actively try not to buy anything that's restricted. I have it, but
anything that will become restricted.
Or that can become restricted.
What's hilarious though is that that's why I bought my Stag.
Right.
That I may or may not have bought.
Right. That you maybe not.
And like after you bought yours.
Yeah.
But not that long after.
No, it was like yours. Yeah, it was within it was maybe 2 months, month and a half.
And frankly, I was considering one of these before I bought my AR.
Yeah.
When they were first announced.
Right.
Which would have been what, 2018?
2018, yeah. 2018 was when I first announced then, yeah.
And then I ended up buying an AR-15 lower.
Yeah.
During the screw Bill Blair era.
Right. Yeah.
Bill Blair sent me era.
Yeah.
And that's all that I had.
Sorry, one thing I did want to mention real quick with this particular firearm that people in the community, this more community related, is that you'll see lots of WK owners literally posting on social media going, ha ha ha, our gun didn't get banned. Guys,
don't be dumb.
Don't be dumb. Don't be dumb. Right?
Don't tempt fate.
Don't tempt fate. So for right now, it is still non-restricted.
That being said, for all the people who are giving Mark shit right now for pulling that out and talking about it on the internet, if you really think that the RCMP aren't aware of the 180 and the MCR and everything else that hasn't been banned yet,
you're out of your mind.
Give your head a shake.
Exactly.
They know about it.
They do.
There's a reason they haven't banned it. We can only guess as to what the reason is, but there's a reason.
Yeah. My guess is because
it's not because they don't know about it.
Yeah, exactly. My guess is actually because it was never military use. Or it was never even not military use, never even contracted to by the military.
I think that it's because it's not even an AR-18.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
Like it's based on the AR-18, but it's not an AR-18.
That's right, yeah.
Now, that being said, the Stag 10 isn't an AR-10. It was just based on an AR-10, but,
it got,
Yeah.
So what's your favorite gun that you can legally own?
Well, the favorite gun, actually, honestly, this will probably be my favorite gun regardless. So just real quick, let's just show all the people who are going to scream into the camera. I don't know if you can see. There's no ammunition in there. I'm pointing it right at the camera. That's so bad. And I'm going to be moving this around. Obviously, the rifle doesn't, the muzzle doesn't, harder to move the muzzle around than with a handgun. But you guys need to know that is a safe direction for us right now. That is a safe direction for us right now. That is a safe direction right now. In fact, even that would be a safe direction right now. We've completely isolated ourselves in my house, so you don't have to worry about it at all. So this is a Smith & Wesson Model 29-2 44 Magnum revolver, 6 rounds, and double action revolver. Smith & Wesson, iconic. If you've never seen this gun before, we just need to watch more Clint Eastwood movies.
Yeah.
This is the gun and the barrel length. Well, that's not true. Apparently, they used multiple barrel lengths depending on the scene.
Oh.
Apparently, the scenes where they were pointing the barrel mostly at the camera, they were using like the 10-inch barrel.
Right, yeah, because that would create that kind of that cool looking depth of field.
Yeah, and then the certain scenes, I guess, where they needed to be able to move it around quicker, they used like the 6-inch, the 6.5-inch barrel or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then the scenes, like the close-up scenes, were all with this length barrel. It's all the 8 3/8 inch barrel. So this came in multiple barrel lengths from like 4, I think it was 6.5. 8 3/8, and then is it 10 5/8 or 10 3/8?
I think it was like 10 I think
something like that. 10-inch and something.
Yeah.
This is the 8 3/8 inch model. It has custom rubberized Pachmeyer grips on it. I have the original. Maybe I should just grab them real quick. So I have the original wooden grips that they came in. Not ever getting rid of these bad boys.
Yeah, no doubt.
So this is the original wooden grips that came with the handgun. This is how most people would recognize it because this is the format that Clint. Now he's behind me. I'm not pointing the barrel at him. He's behind me right now.
I am behind it.
This is more what everybody be familiar with, the look of anyway. So the point here is the 29-2 came out in 1961. And a lot of people don't really know that. There's this, what do you call that again?
Oh, the Mandela effect.
Everybody thinks that the 44 Magnum didn't exist until after the first Dirty Harry movie. That's not actually true. The Smith & Wesson Model 29 came out in 1955. I believe the 44 Magnum version of it was 1957.
Right.
If I don't quote me on that, I might be wrong with that. And then the 29-2, which is actually the third generation of the Model 29 revolver, came out in 1961. The first Clint Eastwood movie was 1971. This wasn't a super popular rifle until the Dirty Harry movies.
Pistol.
What did I say, rifle?
You did say
Sorry.
rifle.
It wasn't a super popular pistol until the Dirty Harry movies. And it just reached superstardom, obviously, with the popularity of the movies. But my father purchased this. I don't know if he bought it exactly in 71. Mm-hmm. I should actually trace the serial number someday and find the manufacturing date of it. I haven't done that. I really should, but I don't know if he bought it exactly in 71, but he would have bought it probably 71, 72, maybe 73 at the latest.
Right, yeah.
Because I remember one time he told me that he bought it shortly after he watched the first Dirty Harry.
Maybe, yeah.
Like I'm sure a lot of people who have the 29-2 did. And like it's just an iconic gun, right?
Yeah.
For decades, it was the most powerful handgun in the world.
Yeah.
Then it was replaced as the most powerful handgun in the world by the Smith & Wesson 500,
Right.
which is basically the same revolver, only it's in 50 caliber instead of 44.
Yeah.
Not 50 BMG, obviously, but 50 AE.
Yeah.
AE?
That's AE, right?
Yeah, I think it's AE. Have I got that right? Am I on drugs?
Maybe
It doesn't sound right in my brain.
You keep talking. I will find out if your brain is right.
So he bought this in the early 70s, and you know, my father has passed away now, so RCMP, you can prosecute him if you'd like. But this, I remember this gun from my childhood because my dad carried this in the Yukon. It is I don't know why it didn't sound right in my brain.
Action Express.
Yeah. Anyway, my dad carried this in the 80s when we were living in the Yukon for bear defense. And the idea was, you know, you had 4 stupid children and a wife, and we would camp in the Yukon out in the middle of nowhere where there are no less than 250,000 black bears and well over 10,000 grizzly bears. And this is what he carried because he would carry it under his blue jean jacket. I can see this in my brain as clear as day. He wore a Canadian tuxedo whenever we would camp. So he had the 80s blue jeans, which like just got out of the bell-bottom era, with the brown. Actually, had a black leather belt, and the jean jacket, with the button-up, like dad shirt, right? Nice. And he had a shoulder holster for this, and he would carry it in the shoulder holster, and it was a left breast pocket kind of shoulder holster. And never once did he pull it out. We had multiple encounters with bears, some close, some not so close. But he never had to use it for protection, or he never had to use it on a bear. And he always said that he wanted to hunt with this. But I think it was the 60s or the late 60s or late 70s. I can't remember which. There was legislation in the late 60s that changed things, and then legislation in 77 that changed things. And I can't remember which it was, but like whatever it is, or maybe it was even before that. I'm wishy-washy on Canadian gun law history now, but I mean, you can't use a handgun to hunt. They're a restricted firearm, and they're not legal to hunt with. But he always wanted to hunt with this, and he just never got the opportunity. He had a friend, he shot competitively in the 70s, and he had a friend who was a machinist at the RCMP depot in Regina. And he gave this to him, and the guy did work on the sear and on the trigger. And so once again, I'm just going to show everybody real quick. There is no ammunition in here. We don't have any ammunition in the building, so I am going to dry fire it. So in single action, I forget what he said, it's literally a couple of ounces of pressure. And then I don't have a trigger gauge on me, but I mean, you can see very quick, very easy. I'm barely going to touch this trigger here. And it's like super crisp break on the trigger, like it's a super easy squeeze, and no travel whatsoever. It's just an amazing gun to shoot. And depending on the ammunition you choose, it'll hurt your hand.
Right. Yeah.
You don't necessarily always want to shoot it a lot.
Yeah.
But you certainly can.
And you actually loaded some that were short powder.
Yeah, right? I take 44 Magnum and like instead of loading it with 14 grains or 14 and a half grains for the Magnum load, I load it with 7.5 grains.
Right.
I basically make a 44 special load out of it.
Yeah.
And it's much, you can shoot it all day, man. Like there's barely even any kick on it. But I mean, if you were using 310 grain, Bear Blaster bullets, like it kicks the hand pretty good. The other thing I always liked about this revolver is it is super, super accurate. I used to, just leaning on a piece of wood, I used to shoot this thing out 75 meters on like 8-inch steel. Yeah. Which it's not the most amazing of feats, but I mean I could hit like 8 out of 10 shots.
Wow. Eh?
And just with the irons that are on it, right? And standing, but just, leaning my arm against
tree.
No,
Post.
like a post.
Yeah.
Post. So, because of the long radius on it with this longer barrel, not only are you getting a little bit more velocity out of the round, but the long sight radius, it just makes it a super, super accurate little revolver, and it's just amazing, and I love it. And I will never, ever part with this.
Nice.
Like, quite frankly, Bill Blair, go ahead, ban handguns.
Right.
You can have my 9mm M&P. I'll comply.
Yeah.
You can have my Buckmark, even though I inherited that from my dad as well, 22 Buckmark. I'll comply. This thing is getting lost in a boating accident if the government ever tries to take it. And I'll flat out say that.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is a family heirloom as far as I'm concerned. I don't shoot it very often anymore.
Right, yeah.
Not that I'm worried about shooting it. Like, I believe guns are meant to be shot, and I will shoot it. I will let other people shoot it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a utilitarian in that regard, but I want this gun to last forever.
Yeah.
And so I don't shoot it very much. It mostly sits in the safe with its trigger lock on. And I put a trigger lock on it even though I have a full 750-pound safe. I don't care. I put a trigger lock on it anyways. But this gun will never leave my possession until the day that I die. And when I die, we'll see. I have only got one niece and one nephew. So
whoever you love more at the end.
Well, I mean, my brother doesn't. I'm the only one of my 3 brothers that got into guns.
Yeah.
And I'm the only. I'm the only one who can get a possession and acquisition license who got into guns. So I don't know. Maybe they'll never want it.
Yeah.
But if they don't want it, like if you've got a daughter, I'd will it to her if I couldn't will it to my nephew or my niece.
Yeah.
Like this will be given to somebody when I pass. This will be given to somebody who sees it equally as an heirloom that it is. And like, let's be honest, like this is an iconic handgun. And besides the fact that it's iconic, for me, it holds so many memories. That's my favorite gun. And it will always be my favorite gun. I don't care. Like I could pick up a $10,000 custom PGW Coyote tomorrow. That'll still be my favorite gun.
That's awesome. Fantastic. No, I absolutely. I've had the pleasure of. I think I've shot it twice, and absolutely love it too. So that's great.
What's crazy is these things are selling for $5,000 and $6,000 now.
Oh my god!
For the 29.2. I'm literally sitting with several $1,000s that I will never sell.
That's
like why couldn't like my crappy CIL 12 gauge pump that my dad gave me? Why couldn't that have skyrocketed in price? I think he said he bought this gun when I'm trying to remember what he said. This would have been 1970s dollars, right? Like earlier mid 1970s dollars. I think he said he bought it for like $125.
Wow,
something like that. Don't quote me on that because it's been a long time, and obviously I can't ask him now. But that's awesome. It's a piece of history for me, anyway.
Cool. So that's our main topic, and we'll put a pin in it there. But I hope you guys enjoyed, seeing some of the firearms that we have, some of the stuff that we just love,
especially because we're not Gucci gun people.
That's right. And so make sure you guys comment and let us know what your favorite gun is, what you think of our firearms, and
Sorry, guys, we're still having technical difficulties with our format here. Don't worry, we're going back to our original format soon because you guys won't care once I edit this, but it's a pain in the ass to record. Anyway, what I was saying is if you guys have any customizations for Mark to do on his rifle, if you think that he should add something, if you think he should take something away, if you're aware of an aftermarket part that makes it awesome or something else, let him know. We want to hear that. If you think that I should do something to this gun, if you think that there's something I could change on it or add or customize, go screw your hat because I'm not changing anything. It's got little scratches in the bluing and all kinds of stuff. And where the cylinder has been scratched, there's the tiniest little hint of a little bit of rust, which I'll monitor and keep from rusting worse. But I'm never doing anything to this gun. Like my dad carried it. It was meant to be used. it still is meant to be used. And, you know, like every little scratch is kind of a bit of a memory. So I'll be monitoring the rust on it. I have zero intentions to re-blue it. I'm taking pretty good care of it. Like, it'll be wiped down before I put it back in the safe to make sure all the fingerprints are off of it, all that sort of stuff. So other than that, like, I want to hear about the WK.
Yeah.
I don't care if you think I should change the 29 too. It's not happening.
Fantastic. Okay, so obviously those people should get off your lawn.
Yeah, anyone who thinks that I need to modify my Smith & Wesson need to get off my lawn.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, but that's not mine. You go first.
I'll do mine. So, my get off my lawn this week is the people who give OnlyFans and WAP. If you don't know what WAP is,
is that the Cardi B thing we were talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
The people who give OnlyFans and WAP a hard time need to get off my lawn.
What is OnlyFans?
OnlyFans is like where girls go and you can like pay money to have them show you their tatas and whatever. It's like a.
You mean a strip joint?
Yeah, but it's all online. Anyway.
Oh, weird.
We're supposed to live in a world now where sexual choice and preference is as free and open as possible. Yet both the left and the right are up in arms about ass shaking and people making money having nerds get off on the internet, which is the reason the internet has been a success in the first place. I understand. It's true. I understand why people might feel that these sorts of things are a problem. However, your opinion on the matter doesn't count when it comes to two consenting adults and sex. It's just that simple. Call it exploitative
unless they're asking you to be a third.
Unless you're asking you to be a third. But you still have your choice.
Yeah.
Call it exploitative if you like, but thou doth protest a little too much.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Then,
just like the governor that tried to ban gay marriage and then got caught with a male prostitute in a hotel room?
That's exactly it.
I'm picking up what you're laying down.
Right.
Yeah.
We literally don't have a say in anything that these people do. So guess what? You should take your prudish uptight ass and twerk it off my lawn.
Fantastic. So OnlyFans is an online strip club.
Basically, yeah.
That is the dumbest ass thing I've ever heard.
So basically, these girls will go on this OnlyFans, and guys pay money, a monthly subscription.
Okay.
Yeah, like a monthly subscription, and then apparently they'll show them their tatas and do stuff for cams and all this sort of stuff. And there's this, what the hell's her name? Bella Thorne, I think? Something, I don't know. She used to be one of these Disney girls, and so she went on and did.
I mean, she worked for Disney.
Used to be like a Disney person, like used to have a show or whatever on Disney Network.
Oh, I got you.
And now she went on this OnlyFans, and she had 1 million people sign up to her OnlyFans page, and she's making all this money. People are all upset. They're like, she's being exploited and this and that. She's a grown ass woman.
Well, she's exploiting herself. As long as she is exploiting herself, what's wrong with that?
Who gets
you
to
and
make
I are
that
exploiting ourselves right now?
Right? Who gets to make that?
We're just not taking our tatas.
That's right. Well, no one would pay me. I'll tell you this right now. If people wanted to see my shit for $1,
I would do it.
I'd do it. I'd do it. Absolutely.
We weren't blessed with the right materials to be able to, because I'll tell you what, they'll make a hell of a lot more money than I make at my day job.
Absolutely. Like, straight up. Like, I'll tell you this right now. If you guys want to pay me $1 to see it, I'll show you.
Yeah.
All right.
$1.
$1.
Don't sell yourself short, Mark.
Right.
You're a good looking man.
Okay, $2. That's the best I can do.
$2. All right.
Who should get off your lawn?
Well, hair.
Yeah.
Hair, why you insist on growing where I don't want you, when I don't want you, and how I don't want you infuriates the hell out of me. You'll grow on the sides of my head, but not the top, just so I look like a lame Friar Tuck. Why don't you just stop growing on my head altogether?
Right.
And what's with the ear hair? What purpose could you possibly serve at 40 years old that you didn't serve when I was 20? Like, what do my ears need now that hair is going to provide that I didn't need at 20 years old?
I literally found a gray one that was like this long on my ear, and I'm like, what the hell?
You're like, that tickles. And then, there's a hair. That's just stupid. Like, they're ninja hairs, too.
Yeah, right.
Like, you don't notice them growing until they start tickling your ear.
It's true.
Anyway, so, look, I shave you in certain areas for a reason. And I have been for 2.5 decades. Take the hint and get off my lawn.
Love it.
Boom.
Boom.
I always say boom.
Yeah, I love it. That's good.
Who's your shout out?
My shout out is, and she's already been shouted out once, but she's getting a second shout out this week. My shout out is to my baby sister who got married secretly yesterday. She made it Facebook and
sounds like it's not so much of a secret.
She made it Facebook and Instagram official before texting us and letting us know.
Wait a minute, she texted you after she put it on social media?
After on social
media.
That
was like, I got to share this to social media. Oh shit, my family's going to be upset because they don't know.
I'm not bitter, you're bitter. But seriously, I do wish her all the best, even though she's a big damn dork who made it Facebook and social media official before letting her family know. Good job, sis.
Does she listen?
She does.
Does she really?
Yeah.
Good for you, sis. Don't let other people tell you how to run your life. You be you.
You know what? Just a quick yo, get married, yo.
Yeah.
Whatevs.
Nobody needs to know.
That's
It's not their problem.
It's true.
They don't have to consummate the marriage. All right. Well, my shout out is to A1 Tire. For those of you who don't know what A1 Tire is, it's just a local tire shop.
Yeah, great guys.
So when you unexpectedly wreck a single tire in your 4-year lease vehicle with only 9 months left on your lease, and you don't want to buy a whole new set of tires for just 9 months because you know you're going to turn the vehicle in, these guys will set you up with used tires with just enough tread to get you through to the end of your lease. Genius.
Love it. I've used A1 in the past, man. They're fantastic.
I'm telling you, I was worried. I do not want to spend $1,000+.
Yeah.
Because, if you have to get new tires,
Oh, yeah.
you got to get 4 of them. It's an all-wheel drive vehicle.
Yeah.
You would at least have to get 2 of them.
Yeah.
And I just didn't want to do that. I want to spend that money. So $75, A1 Tire set me up with a used 3/4 tread tire. Mm-hmm. And that tread will get me by for the next 9 months, and it'll still have the 4/32 of an inch that are required when I turn it in. I had to call my dealer, it's Volkswagen, and I had to ask them, and first of all, they had no idea. I think they purposefully don't know these answers. So they had no idea whether, I'm like, do I need to have matching tires?
Yeah.
Do I have to have front matching, rear matching?
Yeah.
How does this work? So it turns out I don't have to have matching tires at all.
Perfect.
And I don't drive that vehicle as much anymore.
Yeah.
And it's only 9 months left, and we intend on handing it in. So now I've got 3 factory tires and a used Goodyear.
Beauty. That's
and it works just fine. Got me out to the range this morning.
Yeah, it did. And us through a interesting route as well.
Yeah. We went off-road today.
Yeah, we did.
Through a construction zone.
It's awesome.
Like a real construction zone. Anyways, that's going to do it for episode 10. Guys, thanks for joining us again. If you would like to hear more, you can find us at facebook.com/DeEducated. You can find us on our website at DeEducated.ca. You can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/DeEducated. You can also subscribe to us on your favorite podcast app. We are on Apple Podcasts. We're on Spotify. We're on Google Podcasts. We're on this and that and the other thing. Just search the DeEducated podcast. I'm sure you will find us. And until then, we will see you guys next week for episode 11. It's going to be a great one. Make sure you tune in for it. And we will be back to our old format, I think, next week.
Yep.
We just wanted to do this one just so we could do the show and tell. So thanks for joining us. We'll see you all next week. And Mark.
Bye.
In case I don't see ya, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.